Today's show is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Don't let what you do online be public. Protect yourself at expressvpn.com/achievement.
Technical Difficulties is back. We've got another 8 episodes with more weird builds, gadgets, occasional information, and most likely intermittent electrical faults. And since the US is still sucking heavy COVID-laden breaths whenever we go outside, I'm still coming to you from my adjective-laden, barely tolerable, inescapable workspace / the lockable room where I hide all the expensive toys. Summer is upon us, and here in Austin, it is pretty darn warm outside. And nothing's better when you come inside than a nice, ice-cold, refreshing, delicious, smooth, elegant, decadent, and beverage of your choosing. Nailed it. And if you're like me, you consume them at a rate that it's difficult to keep them properly chilled without consuming 3 or 4 shelves in your refrigerator, which seems perfectly reasonable to me, but my wife says we need room for food to feed the children. So I figured there must be a gadgety solution for this problem. I went looking and I found this on Amazon for $25. The Chillomatic Automatic Beverage Cooler. Better living through innovation. That last part I just added, but they can have it if they want. First, we're gonna test it as it comes, and then we're gonna see if we can mod it for like 4 times the price to see if we can make it even better. Because if you happen to have a bunch of junk lying around and no ice, then you can get a redneck engineered version of this for basically free. That's definitely how it works, and I'll thank you economists to leave me alone about it. Also, I promise that this episode premise is legit and not just an excuse to drink a bunch of Diet Coke. But that is an upside. Anywho, let's take a look at this thing. Okay, so you fill this reservoir with ice water, and then you attach your drink to the suction cup here, and then it's going to spin the can through the ice water, which increases the surface area exposed to the ice water, and also helps circulate the liquid inside so that it is more uniformly cool. Now, if I remember my physics classes correctly, cold isn't real. Yep, you've been living a lie told by Big Blanket your entire life. In science, you're never cold, you just lack heat. Like my apartment did that winter I forgot to pay the electricity bill in college. My initial questions are, 1, how long does it take to really cool down a drink to a level that I consider acceptable? It claims 60 seconds on the box, but I'm not sure I believe that. And 2, does it just explode in your face when you open it? It claims no fizz or foam. Ever! Let's try it out. Okay, time to collect some data. So this is a Diet Coke that's been in the fridge for about 24 hours, and then I put it in the freezer for another 15 just to make sure it's absolutely ice cold. Yes, this is a meat thermometer. Yes, that's all I have. And yes, this will be in Fahrenheit. I actually don't know what the temperature I prefer for Diet Coke is, so this will be kind of an interesting revelation in a lot of ways. It is not a very fast meat thermometer. Okay, looks like it's going to settle around 42 degrees. Tastes like meat too. So this can has just been sitting in my house. So it should be room temperature. I really need a faster thermometer. Alright, looks like my room temperature right now is going to be around 68.4. If that sounds like that's cold for the inside of a house in summer, you're correct, and that is also what my thermostat is currently set for, because when I shoot this show, I have to turn off the light and the air conditioner, so it gets mighty warm in here. So I usually turn down the AC quite a bit. So we got to get from 68 degrees to 42 degrees. Now, this thing has 2 AA batteries, and that's it. There's not really instructions, so I'm not entirely sure how much to put in here. I'm gonna go maybe ice heavy. Whoa. Okay, well there's one issue, is if you slide this up at all, it creates a leak. I guess another interesting question is, what does that get the water temperature to? Because, I mean, you're not going to get it any colder than what the temperature of the water is. So right now it's at 41 degrees. So if it can perfectly transfer that temperature to this Diet Coke, then we're set. Get in there. It's leaking more. Water's coming out from the bottom. This is not sealed in any way. I get a towel. See, there's a constant drip of water coming from the bottom here. In pursuit of cold drinks in a hurry, you have to be willing to make some sacrifices. Alright, it's suction cupped on. Re-add the ice, which doesn't really fit in there too well. And then put the lid on, because I'd hate for water to go everywhere. We'll do 60 seconds. Ready, set, go. This doesn't have seconds on it. so I'm just going to wing it. So it's not moving around a lot. The can is staying pretty stable, so hopefully it won't explode on me. I'm just going to let it go for another full minute here. So we're at 30 seconds right now. All right, that's a minute. All right, explosion test. Okay, we got that little steam. I'd say that is pretty close, but it's probably more like in the 45 degrees, which, all things considered, in 60 seconds is pretty good. Wow, this is wild. According to this, 40.2 degrees. So this is colder than that one, than the one that had been in the freezer and the fridge. I mean, obviously this one is now a little bit warmer because it's sitting here, but maybe let's just try it a few more times. Let's try this one again. Yeah, that's definitely warm. That's pretty good, to be honest. So apparently while I was trying to get the thing working, the temperature of the water dropped to more like 36 degrees. All in all, I'd call this thing a success. If you don't mind the fact that it leaks, if you got ice. But what if you didn't have ice? Maybe we can improve this. We can combine this with another product from Amazon used to chill drinks. I'm talking about the mini USB fridge. It looks like this. No, the mini USB fridge, Alan. Nope. 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 Well, that's just absurd. Alright, whatever. However, what's inside that is actually a pretty cheap little module. It looks like this. This is a thermoelectric cooler, also known as a Peltier, which I don't know if I said that right, but when you apply electricity to this, one side gets really cold, and the other side gets really hot. I should probably figure out which is which. And this is a water cooler for a CPU. Now this has two features that are particularly interesting to us right now. The first is it circulates liquid. There's a water pump in this end that moves water through the system, which is how it exchanges heat with this. The second thing is it's already got a water block built into it. This is designed for transferring heat. Usually it's used to pull heat away from a CPU, but if we instead apply a cold surface to this, we should be able to turn it into almost like a refrigerant. So we'll take the thermoelectric module, we'll apply it to the water block, and then, using another CPU heatsink, make kind of a sandwich because the other side gets really, really hot. So we'll just cut off the leads on this part, use it to pull water out of the reservoir here, and then send it back in. Super cooled. Probably need more than one module, but I only have two heat sinks, so. This is also why I said this was going to be expensive, because that'll set you back about 60 bucks, and this is a air cooler, which is probably like another 30, 40 at least, so this isn't a cheap modification. The Peltier module is pretty cheap, though. I think it was only like $3. They're also generators. I think I'm going to have to make another episode of the how to power your cell phone in a disaster with one of these. Bye, water cooler. You were fun. Is the fluid inside a CPU water cooler toxic?
Here are some results.
Well, what I'm discovering here is that I can hear the motor on. It's just not moving any water. Now, I was thinking maybe it needed some help, and so I did fill the tubes up with water. It's possible that the motor, this is just no good. I can hear it whirring, but it's not moving any liquid. It could also be that water coolers just aren't designed for moving liquid all that quick, but if that's true, this is sad. I mean, this isn't even getting like much of a dribble. It's pathetic. This is a pet water fountain. A water pump. It's a little old and disgusting, but hey, it still moves water, so. Don't worry, this thing was old and I'm just going to replace it. It's not going to go back to the pets, so anything I do to it, they're safe. Now, playing with electricity and water at the same time is usually not a good idea, so I'm going to be very careful about where I put things. So the intake on this is these slots at the front, which would mean that this would need to be submerged in the water for it to be able to pump. It's been running for an hour now. Right, so it started off in the 70s. It has gotten the water temperature down to about 59 degrees. So it's certainly working, but not quite strong enough to get the water temperature to where we need it for this to be as good as the ice bath. So my little power supply here is only good for about 1.5 amps. These Peltier modules are power hungry. That one in particular can take up to 5 amps, I believe. So it's not running at its full potential. I could spend another $75 on a power supply that could supply up to 10 amps and try it again. Long story short, it'll be here in the morning. Because when things don't work, just throw more money at them until they do. Now, what's the console command for real life? I have to remember that one for later. Suck it, 2020. Now we have a better power supply. This is what I was using previously. It goes from 3 volts to 24 volts at 1.5 amps maximum. This little puppy is capable of doing 30 volts up to 10 amps. The more amps it draws, the more that it's actually applying that cooling effect. Okay, so running at 15 volts, we're now drawing 3 amps worth of current, which is way better than the 1.5 at max that we were getting out of this. Now, if you want an example of what a great improvement one of these fans makes in keeping your CPU heatsink cooler, I'm going to plug this in and kind of have it pointed into the there. And you can watch as the amperage will go back up. So you can watch those amps climbing now, because with the fan blowing through there, it makes a really sizable difference in how much heat the heatsink can get rid of. Take a current temperature on the water, 64.8, which is less than the room temperature in here. It's 4.5. It's working pretty well. I think I've done everything I can to increase the efficiency of this setup now. The PET water fountain motor actually has variable speed, so I've turned it down a lot so that water doesn't flow through the heatsink as fast, giving it more time to cool down. I've increased the efficiency here as much as I can by adding thermal paste between both sides, between the water block and the Peltier and the CPU cooler. I've added this fan to keep air moving over the blades of the cooler, and I've increased the power supply up to a 10 amp module, which it's only drawing 3, so we obviously have a lot of room for improvement there. So I've let this run for a few hours. I'm dealing with a lot more water than the this reservoir holds. This also takes a lot of electricity. 3 amps over a few hours is not inexpensive, but let's see if the results are better maybe. Ooh, it's a good downward trend. 54, 53. I don't think I'm gonna get there. Oh, there's some solid frost kind of built up around the edge of the water block, so it's doing its damnedest. That being said, there's a lot of water to change the temperature of. Even with all of this, we're gonna end up around 45 degrees, 45.9. But hey, that's not too far from 38. It's only 7-degree difference, so you know, for not having any ice and having lots of electricity and spare parts, maybe this will be just about as good. Give it the old taste test. Ah, tepid. Ice cold? No. I'm gonna guess that we were sitting at about room temperature on this can because it's been here for a while. So it's probably about 70 degrees. And we got it down to 54. Not quite as efficient as the smaller container. And taste test says not as good. Well, I think we can call that a solid in technical difficulties lore. Maybe in the future I can revisit this and build a better enclosure, use a water pump that doesn't take up so much space so that I have to use so much water, and add additional Peltier units and coolers so that we get more cooling effect pumped into the water. If you happen to have all these parts lying around and no ice, find a better solution, because this is It does make for a nice cold finger bath though. That's delightfully chilly on a hot day. I gotta go apologize to my wife for taking apart the pet fountain. Wait a minute. Maybe I can just escape 2020 altogether. Ah, son of a bitch.
Sometimes you just really want a burger, or maybe a tasty steak, maybe a delicious pork chop or two. That's where Omaha Steaks comes in. Right now, Omaha Steaks is offering a steakhouse grilling package with an exclusive offer just for our viewers. Go to omahasteaks.com and enter the code RYAN in the search bar. That's right, I'm a steak code now. Then order the Grand Summer Grill Out package, and when you do, Omaha Steaks will throw in 4 free burgers and 4 free gourmet jumbo franks. That's along with the bacon wrapped filet mignon, pork chops, chicken, and more already in the package. And it's all delivered right to your door. No grocery store, shows up right at your house. Omaha Steaks are delicious. The seasoning pack that comes with them is excellent. I highly recommend it. Put it on everything. You will love their steak, guaranteed. So order your Grand Summer Grill Out package and get 4 free Omaha Steaks burgers and 4 free gourmet jumbo franks to complete your steakhouse experience. Visit omahasteaks.com and enter Ryan in the search bar to shop these summer grill packs today. Thanks for sponsoring Technical Difficulties.